Hey everybody, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. We are going to do something that has become a little bit of I want to say it's like a staple or a tradition, if nothing else, here on the podcast for the first episode of the new year. We love to go over our goals. So Mike, are you psyched to talk about some goals today?
I'm always excited to talk goals. It kind of gives us something to work towards or work for throughout the season. And I got some new ones this year. So yes, I am excited to talk about this.
Me too. And we're going to do something a little different this year. I think in the past we kind of just loosely went over them. This year we're going to try to quantify them. You know, we've got different ways we'll talk about in a moment that we're tracking a little bit closer. So we're going to do some quantifiable goals. I've got some goals that I want to run through. You've got some. We've seen it at the highest level. We've seen with Justin Thomas that 2 years ago, the big list he put out and how many goals he hit. Now that's become a regular thing for him. But also from the entire Golficity universe on social media, we put the question out there to you guys of what some of your goals are. And we got some great responses back. So I'm looking forward to diving into those too. Now, we want to talk about this in a minute. You and I actually did play golf. We played some December golf the other day, which was a little torturous, but still fun to be out there. But we're only 2 weeks away from what I would say our first real round of the season.
Yes.
That's going to be so much fun. We're going to be playing Lake Nona at the Tour Edge Media Day. And of course, we'll be strapped up with the shot scope. And look, talk about goals. What better way to start tracking them, right?
Yeah, super early, right? So I just checked, Frank, it's funny, the extended forecast. I'm getting excited. It's nice to see the 70s are in the near future. I can't wait to get back out there. But regarding goals, you'll see this in a minute that some of my specific on-course goals, they can only really be tracked and monitored with the shot scope. So, GIR, fairway goals, putting, proximity, and so on and so forth. That's the stuff that we're going to be able to quantify, like you said, with the shot scope. So hit your goals, guys. Grab the shot scope V2. The deal is over for 189, but it's back to 209. It's not far from where it was. It's a no-brainer at that price, in my opinion. Visit shotscope.com/Golficity, or just use coupon code Golficity, GOLFICITY at checkout.
Yeah, still a steal.
Right,
still a steal at that price. No
yeah,
doubt
for sure.
about it. So I want to talk about our round the other day, and how this kind of came to play. It was kind of funny. The way most of the time these things happen, you text me and you love looking at that forecast and you're like, we might have a little bit of a break here. It might be a little warmer than normal. And this was, what was this? It was December 30th that we played?
Yeah, it was the Saturday right before New Year's.
Right, Saturday right before New Year's. Maybe it was the 29th, whatever it was. The forecast looked like it was going to be warm, or at least relatively warm.
Warm, high 40s.
Warm for us means
low
no
wind.
frost. Yeah,
right.
No frost, no snow. That's warm. But the reality is when we showed up, it was windy. I think the first sign was when there was no tee times in front or behind us. We knew that there was something up, but it was about 44 degrees at tee off, felt like 32 because the wind was moving. It's kind of funny. We filmed the whole thing on this, which is what we usually film on. Here, I'll see if I can. We've got this big old windscreen on there, right? So that's for the whole purpose of trying to be able to film outdoors. And I'll tell you what, when you guys see this video, which should drop not too long after this podcast comes out, you just hear it. I mean, it's one of those windy days where you see like our pant legs are just whipping in the wind. That's when you really know. So it was windy, it was cold, but it was just refreshing to get out there and play a little bit of golf.
That's a good word to use right there. It was refreshing. And the course was in good shape for having a lot of rain the night before. I was nervous it was going to be, really muddy. I mean, of course, there were the soft spots here and there, but, we still had the opportunity to hit, relatively firm fairways to get some true actual, shots. Obviously we were able to tee up our tee shots. So we were able to, and we were able to putt a little bit. I mean, greens were a little slow, but we were still able to kind of get a little bit of that feel back. I mean, you immediately found out a problem in your short game with the decel.
Yes.
Around the green. So that it was great to learn that on December 29th and kind of fix that before the season starts. But overall, man, what a treat to get out there, huh?
It was. And it was also my first time making any type of contact with the ball since my swing changes. With Kevin Sprecher. It was there were some promising signs in there, still struggling, but some promising things. And I think I know just the slight tweaks that I need to make, change wise to really make this work. So I'm hoping that maybe a range session or two, and we'll be really clicking as we go into, Orlando in just a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to bring the new swing to Orlando? What's your thoughts? I know you were thinking about it.
Yeah, I can't go. If I go back, I'm just going to set myself back. I'm just going to power through it.
Yeah, power through it.
I realize there's only a small change I need to make. As you saw out there, I did hit some nice balls. I made a really solid birdie on a par 5. So it can work. But there were also some misses. It's a timing thing. Whenever you make a swing change, timing, has to follow, but that just takes time, takes contact. I'll put the work in.
What's your expectation for the rounds in Orlando? I mean, you can't expect much, right? I mean, a lot of us, first rounds of the season are in a few months for some people, but luckily for us, it's in a couple of weeks already. So I don't know. What's your expectations?
Look, some people play their best, the first couple rounds of the season because expectations are low. And I think when expectations are low, it usually translates to a little bit less pressure, a little bit less stress. And I think that's often what ends up ruining our games. So I'm going to set my targets for the days pretty low, especially in the beginning. I'm going to just look for, just hitting, fairways and things like that and just working the ball, just getting the swing back and grooving. And we'll just see what happens with the score. But there's also other things, obviously this is a big networking event for us. There's going to be other stuff above and beyond golf. Some of the events we're playing in, they're just kind of like going to be fun outings and stuff like that. So there's going to be stuff to also take your mind off competitive golf a bit.
Yeah, and absolutely right. And let me give you guys a heads up. We're actually going to be playing at Lake Nona, like Frank said there, and we're going to be playing the Watson course at Reunion, which is a very challenging course. If you get a chance, Frank, check out the photos on that. I mean, the sand, a gem though, right there in Orlando. And then we're playing a course called Hawks Landing, which was actually one of Eric Benzenberg's recommendations. And then we have one more round, Frank, that's to be determined. We're still kind of thinking about where to finish off the trip, but there's some courses that are coming your guys' way pretty soon.
Yeah. And speaking of, Eric's going to be down there with us. So is Chris McEwen, and we're going to be doing a great podcast for you guys. What we're going to be doing is on, I believe it's on the Tuesday of that week. There's demo day. Is that Tuesday, Mike?
That's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what demo day is basically every club manufacturer who is there at the show, sets up a booth on a huge driving range, and you go out and test and demo, and they show us a lot of the new equipment. So we're going to have a ton to decompress. So after that, we're going to sit down roundtable style and talk about this and try to highlight for you guys as much new equipment for 2019 as we can pick apart.
It's going to be epic. And I want to test the Cortex. Nobody's going to be able to pry the TS out of my hands. I'm sorry, but I just, because it was driver versus driver and they got some hype recently, I just wanted to swing and hit it just to see what it's all about. So that's what I'm looking forward to, as well as, just the people we're going to be hanging out with down there, guys from Putt Out, guys from Shot Scope, just some friends in the industry. It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah. And actually Eric had done a roundup on the website just today about some of the new stuff that's coming out. I mean, you have the Epic Flash with Callaway, TaylorMade obviously has been teasing the M5, M6. There's going to be a lot of different things that we can get out there and give a go to. The Ping G410, even PXG. PXG's got a new driver offering. Now, I don't know if all these things will be there that week. I don't know if they'll be ready to go yet, but if they are, we'll hit them and we'll talk about them.
Well, Rory's got the M5 in Kapalua right now, so I got to think. I mean, I know TaylorMade isn't going to be at the show, so maybe they're probably not even going to be at demo day. Yeah, they're probably just not going to be in Florida at all. So, but I don't know. It is equipment overload down there, but I love it. And then we might be doing a collaboration with hopefully GM Golf, Garrett, that guy who does the sick trick shots. You've seen him on Sports Center and everything like that. So we're going to try to set something up there. And speaking of Kapalua, Frank, PGA Tour. It's back.
So great to have it back. And I love having it back this time when it's in Hawaii, because you can come home at night and watch it.
Yeah,
true.
That
time difference.
7 o'clock rounds.
That time difference works for me in this case. Put the kids to bed, sit down and watch a little bit of golf. Plus it's gorgeous, the setting. And I always like this kind of kick off the Tournament of Champions. You get to see all the winners from the previous year. Lot of hype around Cameron Champ. I'd love to see what he does and if he lives up to that. And I hope he does. But always excited for this kickoff after that little bit of lull we had.
Yeah, and I just get so jealous watching those courses, those Hawaii courses, because Hawaii is just a place I want to get to.
Me too.
I know we've talked about it. I know my wife, I know you and your wife have talked about it. It's just the courses out there look ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that'll be something.
They're gorgeous, but it's the wind is the real challenge.
The wind is kind of brutal. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that like, you have that great, beautiful setting, but you better bring your wind A game if you're playing in Hawaii. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Here's a question I have for you, and I've just kind of been picking this around a little bit. Speaking of the PGA Tour, I talked about it before. Tiger Woods, his win at East Lake, watching the gallery follow him up, the 18th fairway, still gives me chills.
Right.
2018, pretty big year in general for sports. We had, a number of different events from the World Cup to, just a lot going on with the World Series and the Super Bowl. But where would you rank that? And this is what I kind of posed this question on Twitter too. Where would you rank Tiger's comeback win in all of sports events for 2018?
I mean, 2018 number one. I think number one. I would even go back and say it might be one of the greatest moments in sports in the last, I don't even know how many years.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, just I can't remember, or maybe I can. The last time I had the chills and the hair on my back stand up when the gallery was following Tiger up 18.
Yeah.
The last time I felt like that was I think it was the moment, maybe like when Derek Jeter retired or his 3,000 hitter. One moment he had, I remember I had the same feeling for me as a diehard Yankee fan, so it goes way back for me. And I'd say it's probably one of the biggest moments in a long time.
I 100% agree. And what I was surprised by, I was just kind of seeing what the take was in general around the internet. So I was Googling it, top sports moments 2018. And I was shocked that there was a few lists that it didn't even make. It wasn't on their radar, and there's a few lists when it was pretty low. And I was like, I don't know.
So do you remember any of them?
Maybe we're just biased because of the fact that we love golf so much, but come on, it's Tiger Woods, one of the greatest to ever play the game. Do you remember any of them? Let me see here. I looked at so many. I
couldn't think of anything bigger than that. Like nothing jumps off the page.
Yeah, but then there was a lot of just kind of filled up with a lot of honestly just random stuff. Here's let's see what Sports Illustrated.
I mean, something like what Michael Phelps has done in the Olympics might be another biggest moment in sports. I don't know. I mean,
they've got some stuff here like March Madness. You had, let's see here. They got, my thing is kind of running slow on me here.
Major comebacks.
They got, my list here froze. I was just pulling up Sports Illustrated. UMBC stuns #1 Virginia.
Yeah. Okay.
You have stuff like that, and there's you get a lot of that stuff on the list. So there's a lot of great things that did happen. I don't know. This page is frozen on me.
But Frank and Mike got to play Sleepy Hollow. It was probably one of the greatest moments.
That's number 2, right? Quick, they're right behind Tiger.
Yep. And Bay Hill.
Yeah. Mike's performance at Bay Hill.
My birdie at 6 at Bay Hill might have been one of the biggest moments in sports.
Well, at least, if nothing else, you were near one of someone who could be mentioned the greatest moments in sports.
Who had
Molinari and
probably the biggest year in sports.
Right. What he did, at the Ryder Cup, with Fleetwood was, that's something that could have made any of those lists. But I thought it was interesting to how many lists I did not see Tiger mentioned on. I think to me, I agree. I think that was #1 moment. It just solidified somebody who has been such a big, important part of the sport for so long. It was so cool to see how many of the other players were so supportive of having him come back and wanted to see that. And so many of us didn't want to see Tiger just kind of fall off and fizzle out with these injuries. We wanted to just, even if he does nothing anymore, even just to have him come back and do something like that. I think it was a really vindicating moment. I thought that was great. Plus, he had the match with Tiger, which the jury's still out, but that was on a couple lists on whether that was good, bad, whatever. but I mean, just having him back around and really competing, I think is so important.
Huge. And we got another year of it coming up, man. So I am stoked for that.
That's right.
But listen, let's do some ad reads because I want to talk goals.
No doubt.
So what do you say? So let's jump into it. This episode is sponsored by Titleist. Well, it looks like we're in for yet another epic year, working with our friends at Titleist. We're super excited about that. Those guys, as you know, are the number one ball in golf. And not only that, we are rapidly approaching our first full season, Frank, with the AP3s, the TS driver, the Vokey wedges, and of course, their new lineup of Pro V1s.
No doubt. And which, by the way, we just got the 2019 Pro V1s in the mail, the real ones. We had the prototypes just a little while back. Fun experimenting with those. The balls are, they're in play right now on the PGA Tour. We're seeing, I've been following along with Justin Thomas and some of these other guys. We're seeing some great improvement out of them. So the ball, as we all know, I mean, it's just a tremendous improvement there. But it's also refreshing to see how much Titleist has done with the clubs lately. Obviously, it's hard not to love the AP3s. Those have been making huge waves. But the big news, I'd say the biggest news of 2018 was the TS driver drops.
Sure.
You're just seeing the buzz absolutely everywhere. And it's just been remarkable, the feedback on that. And you and I have been gaming them. We've been loving them. But here's the thing. People want to try them. The great news is it can be done for free. I see and I hear a lot in the Facebook group where people have bad fitting experiences because they go into like a big box store and they end up getting charged for a fitting or whatever it may be. Listen, it's a much more refreshing experience. Go to Titleist.com. You can find a fitting near you. They do Titleist Thursdays and they're free. You can try them out. I did it myself today, Mike. It said Tuxedo Golf Club is the closest Titleist fitter to me, which is only about maybe 10 miles away. And they do Titleist club fittings, Titleist on-course trial sets. They do Vokey trial wedges. They have the launch monitor. They have the outdoor ball flight. So you really get that true fitting experience. So treat yourself to one this season. Make it a fitting from your local Titleist fitter. Go to Titleist.com/locator. You owe it to yourself to at least find if somebody's near you. Find some time, go down there and check it out. Guys, this episode is also sponsored by Blinkist. In today's age, it can be so hard to find that time you need to sit down and learn more, especially when we have social media. It's so addictive. It's time consuming. We feel like, where does our time go? Blinkist is the only app that condenses thousands of nonfiction books into the best key takeaways. And it's that need to know information that we're all kind of craving. So how cool is that? You can read or you can listen to them in just 15 minutes. Like this might be good for you, Mike.
This is perfect for me. And check it out. 8 million people are using Blinkist right now, and it has a massive and growing library. And this is cool. It's got those self-help books, business books. I mean, you name it. Those self-improvement books. I mean, what are some other, like, leadership, motivation, sales,
mindfulness?
Parenting. Yeah, all that great stuff. It's all there. So go to Blinkist.com/golf to start your free 7-day trial. That's Blinkist. Let me spell it for you. Blinkist. Blinkist.com/golf to start your free 7-day trial. Blinkist.com/golf.
All right, cool. So let's dive into goals. Let's do it this way. I'm going to run through my goals. We'll have you run through yours, and then I want to go through and I want to highlight some of the ones from our listeners out there, which, by the way, thank you to everybody who threw your hat in the ring there and told us your goals, because like I said, they are across the board. And that's one thing that I love so much about this game. Some people's goals were something as simple as playing more golf. You know what I mean? And I think that can be a goal. I don't think we all need to have, everybody gets something different from this game. And if what you get from this game is just that break from the rest of your life and the enjoyment to go out there and just, take a nice walk through a beautiful setting and just have some fun with your friends, then fine. I'm all about just getting people out there and getting them the opportunity to enjoy the game. But I've been really working solidly on my game as much as possible. I feel like I'm going to be playing more this year, which is going to be one of my goals. I'll tell you about in a second. But I want to take it seriously. I want to really, I'd say this is the first year where I've really, really been getting into my stats by playing almost an entire season with a stat tracker. ShotScope has been excellent for that. I also like that ShotScope breaks it down by season, so I can quickly jump from one season to the next. These are types of things that I probably wouldn't track without an automated tracker, but it doesn't mean you can't. There's a lot of different ways you guys can do it, pen and pencil, whatever. Just for me, I find that I end up getting away from it if there's too much of having to write things down or whatever. So I like something that does it for me. But however you do it, just tracking your stats and quantifying them against your goals can really help. Because it just feels good. It feels good to be able to check at least a couple goals off. I think though, the real key to doing this right is setting goals for yourself that are enough of a stretch to push you and to push you out of your comfort zone and force you to practice and work on your game, but are also not so unreachable as to kind of discourage you and you feel like you can't get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
So I tried to hit that wheelhouse, that sweet spot in the middle, and we'll talk about them now. The first one that I want to do, and this is going to be my number one goal because it's been so important for me. Like, it's been a struggle for so long. And it's also been such a key to the way it translates in my score. And that's fairways hit. I can look into my stats and I can tell you that when my fairways in regulation, my fairways hit is low, my score tends to be worse, significantly. A small tick up, maybe 5 to 10% better fairways, hit usually translates to at least 5 strokes. So, I'm finding that I'm not having to scramble it from the woods or whatever it is. A lot of the areas we play up here in the Northeast, most of the fairways are lined with trees. You go off a little bit, you end up having to burn a stroke punching back out to the fairway because you don't have a clear shot. So I'm going to work really hard on that. And my personal goal is going to be to hit 50% fairways in 2019. To give you an idea, really tough. 35% was my number in 2018. However, if you look really hard into the numbers, you realize that number was starting to come up towards the end of the year, switching to the TS driver, as well as working on that part of my game a little bit more. So I feel like if I've got the whole season to work with, I can get there. And just for a reference point, again, we talk about setting goals in a realm that's reachable, but it's also a little bit of a stretch. So for me, that's going to be a significant jump from 35 to 50, but I'm not going to set something crazy. When you realize last year, the PGA Tour players averaged around 75%. So it gives you an idea. Like I'm not getting crazy. I'm not a scratch golfer. I just want to be able to up that a little bit. The second goal that I have here is to be at 15% or less in 3 putts for the entire season. I am at 15% right now. I finished the 2018 season that way. I want to stay there at least and continue to work on getting better, but I just want to make sure I don't creep back to where I was.
Where are you seeing that in ShotScope?
You would go into performance.
Right.
Now I do it on the desktop, but it's probably the same type of thing. But performance, then under putting, you'll see putts per green. At 13%, which is something that I went over a little bit in my what's in the bag video, but I want to at least stay at that 13 or better. Again, for reference point, PGA Tour players average about 0.65 3 putts per round. So it's a little bit more than half. So it's almost like every other round they have a 3 putt, which is tremendous. I mean, you watch on TV, these guys, they lag it in from 30 feet out and they're at a tap in. So, which is a lot to be said for the greens they're playing on. But I think I can get there. I'm going to continue to work on that. Part of that is going to be working on my proximity. But I think I can get there. I think I can keep it there.
I like it, man.
Another one, very important one, greens and regulation. I want to work on improving greens and regulation. Let me see where I'm at right now. I know for a fact that I have a little bit room here for improvement. Yeah. On the season. And again, this is one of those stats that we talk about really translates to score. Greens and regulation is one of the key indicators of how you're going to score because you're giving yourself a chance to score. 2018, another struggling point. I was really having to rely on scrambling because I was at 24%. I'd love to kick that up to 40%. PGA Tour average is 65%. So if I can bring that up, a little bit less than doubling it to 40%. And I think we'll see these working hand in hand. If I can hit more fairways, I'll obviously hit more greens.
Makes sense.
I'm missing those greens in regulation because I'm missing fairways. And as I said, I'm burning shots punching back out or whatever. It's very hard to hit your greens in regulation when you're off the fairway and contending with all types of things, trees and whatever.
Right.
So that's a big one. Next one I have is I want to play 30 plus rounds. I feel like if I can play 30 rounds in the year, I feel like I really be back. The last couple of years have been tough. You know, I've got 2 young daughters. One is only a year and a half. That really pulls on you, as well as, you know, this. I mean, although it's a golf business, you know, what we do with Golficity takes up a lot of our time, you know, and it's funny. We talk a lot about golf, but sometimes we don't get this opportunity to play as much as we like. I think our trip to Orlando is going to really set me off nicely for this. I think if we can get 5 rounds in down there, I'm going to be well on my way.
You're going to be well on your way.
Well on my way.
And then you got 6 in Scotland, but you know, I mean, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there. Plus, you and I we're committing to doing a lot more course vlogs in 2019. Yeah. So it means a lot more rounds. If I get 30 rounds in, I'm very happy. You're going
to hit that goal by August.
That would be sweet. I hope so, because you know, after August, it gets dicey as far as the weather around here.
It does.
A lot of it's going to rely on that. Another one, and this one's going to be a fun one. This is the first full year playing with the Shot Scope. I want to earn 50 Shot Scope medals. And I didn't realize this till I started to dive into it today, because it just kind of reset for the new year. Do you know your medals reset each year in Shot Scope?
Did not know that. I like that.
I like that too. So then I can see each year over year if I get to hit more medals. So there's medals for just about everything: driving, approaches, short game, putting. I want to work my way through. There's also courses you play, you earn certain medals. I want to work my way through there, and I want to end up with at least 50 medals come the end of the season.
Yeah, that's a cool goal.
That's going to be a fun one. And then these last 2 I'll run through really, really quick so we can get into yours. I want to poke at least one drive 300 plus yards. And I came very close to that last season with a 294 yard drive.
So close.
It is. And sometimes it's really enlightening when you look at like the stats that you can't argue with. I mean, this is all based on GPS. Right. So sometimes you think like you hit it further than you did, and then all of a sudden it's humbling to look at your actual stats and realize you didn't, you know?
Right.
So for me, never being a huge distance guy, 300 yards is a good poke for me. I usually average somewhere around 260, 270 off the tee. So I want to get at least one legitimate, 300 yard drive in there.
Dude, your game's going to be so deadly this season if you're a consistent 270, 280. I mean, your whole game is going to change because you haven't been used to that distance off the tee.
No, I haven't.
So you're attacking greens with much different clubs in the past. You're going to be attacking with much shorter clubs. I think things are going to change for you. I'm excited for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I really hope so. And it's true. Before making the switch to the TS driver, I was averaging somewhere around, 240, 250.
Which was still great.
It's not terrible. I've never really been the type of guy who's completely focused on that game.
Yeah. On the courses we play. Mm-hmm.
Again, but if those can be from the fairway, I'm not the type of person who's going to get wild with distance and have it sacrifice some of my accuracy. So I want to keep that, but once I want to at least poke 300. And the last thing is, this one's kind of like, this would be a walk in the park for you, but for me, I'd like to set a personal goal of working out 2 times per week. And we talked about this a little bit the other day about how busy I've been and stuff like that. But I did find a little bit of a sweet spot where I can, after I get the kids to bed on certain weeknights, I can get out and do a little bit of a workout. So if I just want to, maintain flexibility, get a little bit more strength, and injury prevention is the big one for me.
Keep your core as tight as you possibly can. And you're right. I mean, and we were talking about it the other night. You don't need space. You don't need a gym. You don't need much of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, just, do your planks, do your squats, just keep your core tight and all of those potential problems you can have with your back. I mean, there are so many times where I've maybe fell into a sinkhole or my foot didn't land the right way when I was walking, where the old Mike would have threw his back out easily.
Yep.
Now with the Titan core, I mean, you know the deal. So, you do that in combination with new clubs, and dude, I'm scared. I'm scared. You're gonna be a force out there. But that's a good goal, man. It's on my list. So I'm glad to hear.
Injury prevention, it can't be understated. Right now, I feel like I have two modes: either hunched over a desk or swinging a golf club. Right. and the body's not meant for that, man. Like I've had too many times. Like I almost missed our last round because I had such a stiff neck I couldn't turn it side to side. I'm like, how am I going to play? Because I slept wrong. And it's because of the fact that I will spend 8-10 hours in front of a desk, and that's just no good. I want to stay limber. I want to move. So that's going to be my goals. I have these goals, written here on my phone. I'm going to keep them, and then we're going to revisit these at the end of the year. And I'm hoping there's 7 goals here. I'm hoping to check all 7 off.
That's sweet, dude. I like it.
Let's hear yours. Let's do this.
All right, we'll run through them quick here. I don't want to be redundant with yours, but they're pretty similar with the game part. So I call this like my trifecta for 2019. So one part of the triangle for me is fairways. Looking at my shot scope, I want to elevate that to 50%. I think, for me, I was at 40%, which was kind of strange, but then again, we've only used the shot scope for 5 or 6 rounds last year. And it doesn't have many rounds in it for me. So, the rounds that I do have in it, the rounds are really great. So 40% is there, but I know that that's not really the norm for me. I'd like to see a true 50% there. Greens in regulation, I'd like to take that from 18% to 30%. I know you said 40, but even a jump from 18 to 30 would be great things. The top of the triangle, so to speak, my trifecta is the putting aspect. I don't have any particular numbers or stat numbers in mind for putting. I do 2 putt or less. I think it's like 1.9 average putt, but my goal is to be very consistent with this putt out device and use it a lot this season, more than I usually do, to maintain the feel throughout the season. Because think about it. If we get on the fairway more and then we get on the green more, I don't have to worry about proximity. Proximity is a stat that, yes, everyone would love to be closer to the hole, but let's face it, we're not pros. We can't focus on proximity. I don't care who we are. We can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that right now. So I think I want to attack more middles of the green. And if it's a 40-foot putt, I'm not going to care because I'll be able to lag. I'll have the feel for the putting. So that's where I am there.
It's smart. We just talked about the other day, like not going after sucker pins and the short side and saying, give yourself a better chance. I'd rather be somewhere on the putting surface than having to chip or a greenside bunker. It is smart for you to it's a good way, I should say, to get that green and regulation number up just by, aiming for more of the meat of the green.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right. So that's the plan there. And hang on a sec. I got to open my Polar Seltzer non-paid endorsement. I just love this stuff, as you know. I need to take a drink. Hold on a second because I'm just rambling here.
This guy crushes those seltzers.
Oh, it's, yeah.
I go to his house the other day. There's he's got cans on
life supply. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Workout wise, I want to stay in great shape throughout the season. My fitness ventures, they usually stay consistent throughout the year, but of course towards the end of the year I will tail off that stuff. So I'm hoping to kind of ramp it up and stay in great shape so that I can continue to, have flexibility, like I said, be able to rotate, be able to work my Spreck effect, so to speak, and really, really have that good feeling about my health. And kind of take on these challenges of these courses with you, Frank. Walk Bethpage Black with you and play some of these great courses with you that we have to walk up in Scotland on the hills. And I just want to be in tip top shape for that, as well. And, let's see what else I have here. I want to work on my new, Sprecher tips, the balance in the feet and rotation. You saw me say this during a couple of shots when we played last weekend. Yeah. And those shots were actually pretty great. And then I remember at one point I hit a drive and you're like, whatever you just told yourself, just keep doing it. And that was that thing that Kevin taught me. So I want to, like you, just break through and try to conquer this and not go backwards. So that's a personal goal as well. And then just a fun one. I want to have 3 eagles this year.
3 on the season.
I want to have 3 on the season. Wow. I know it's hard.
Well, you got a lot of length. You are hitting a lot of par 5s.
I could get home on par 5s in 2 occasionally, but it's luck to get it close to the hole, close enough to make a putt. I think my only 2 eagles in my life were 2 extremely lucky shots.
Were they both last season? They were both last season.
One was 2017. The first one was 2017. That was the four
So you have one Eagle. You have one Eagle per year the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I hit the 3 Eagles, I'm gonna make like a personal donation. I haven't figured it out yet, but I want to make it kind of big. Like I want it to happen so that someone else somewhere can benefit from it. Kind of like when we were young, we did like the walkathon. I'll walk 100 miles.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's cool.
So I want to get 3 Eagles, and then maybe I'll throw in like a hole in one. You and I should do that. If you and I ever get a hole in one in the season, we should do something pretty remarkable like that. It'll just be kind of a cool give back.
I love that idea.
Because we don't have a country club to buy drinks for everyone, so let's do it. Right. Awesome. So there it is. I'm there with you on the medals. I haven't really put a number on it, but I love those medals because it's so cool. It's when you Yelp restaurants, you get fun medals, right? Yeah. But in this case, it shows us that we're improving at our golf game because we've got these medals. And like you said before, I love the fact that you get medals for playing certain courses. Yeah. Like US Open course. If you played one, you get a medal. It's so cool.
That is cool because it gets you to get out there and then try new courses.
And it makes this game fun. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, look, I think you'll hit a lot of those goals if you do stick with what we were working on with Kevin Sprecher. And I remember that was the 9th hole. It was the last hole we played of the day because of the fact that it gets dark so early. We could only get 9 in before the sun went down. But I remember you did exactly what he said, where you just right before, like part of your pre-shot routine was just to kind of rock and feel your balance, because when you were originally working with him, I think you were too far on your toes. I think that's what he said. It made it
over.
Hard to rotate.
Hard to rotate when you're on your tippy toes. Yep.
Well, whatever he did, that reminder, and that's what I love about a pre-shot routine. We talk about it a lot on the show. We tell you guys, if there's something you're struggling with, like make the correction that you've figured out or work with the coach on, make that part of your pre-shot routine, something in there to remind you, because there's nothing that makes you kick yourself more than knowing that what you did wrong because you forgot to do it right. So in this case, like Mike was adding, part of that is just to rock a little bit on his feet, feel his weight distribution, and then go, and you could see it in that swing. I mean, it worked. It's funny enough. I mean, you hit a little bit of a nice draw too. And usually,
you saw that, huh?
Yeah, when you miss, it's
where
a slice.
Did that come from?
So it was just like, I think it was just from like a really good rotating through the
good
ball.
Rotation.
And good rotation comes from good setup. One thing that we hear Kevin say a lot was that, there's different things that we do that works against our ability to rotate. Right. For me, I was actually standing with my feet too far apart. And actually, I kind of noticed it as I was watching some of the footage as we were putting the vlog together. I was like, wow, I'm standing far apart. And then it reminded me that's another thing he wanted me to do, because you get those feet too far apart and it becomes harder to rotate. So setup is what creates the foundation to be able to like kind of perform out there. So a lot of good stuff. So we those are ours. We've both got our stuff ready, and the goals are there.
Not to put you on blast here.
Uh-oh.
But do you remember what it is that you said to yourself out loud before you shanked it in the woods Saturday? Was it like head down, keep to the left or something? What was it you said?
I'm trying to remember. It was just one of those things.
It's like a quick reminder.
Yeah, what was it?
And you said it with such confidence, and then you just shanked it horizontally directly into the woods. And it made for a really good laugh. I think it was the last hole or something, and it was funny.
Yeah, it was.
I was showed you had too much thinking going on about it.
I was in the right rough, and then I was going through like the motions with this new swing, where I rotate my hips, and then I'm trying, and I did something, but that was it. It was just timing again. My timing was off because of this new thing I'm doing, but I know it's right, so I'm going to stick with it. And I just ended up making contact with the ball in a different position, and the club face was wide open because it hadn't had time to close yet, and it just shot into the woods. Like, oh boy.
We got a good laugh out of it, but hey, it was the perfect opportunity to practice a new swing, those conditions, so it was good.
It really was. All right,
but
so
I want to hear
some of these.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah, so you got any that jump out at you? Want to do
No, you jump off. I know you got a little list.
All right, so it's
I'm also kind of behind on you. Sorry, that's why.
So it's kind of funny. Like I'm looking through these both on Twitter and in the Facebook group. We've got some funny ones. We've got, let's see here. The one guy had said, where is it? I want to make sure. He goes, this was, at Jeff J Wheels 9876. He goes, break less clubs and 80 in that order. And I said, yeah, great. It is easier to break 80 with all 14 clubs. So that's for sure. A lot of people just said, we were saying, get out and play. Like keep it simple. Just play more.
Right.
I also, this is another one. I saw a lot of people focusing more on positivity, which I like. We talked about that in the podcast not too long ago, where we said, try to focus more on the positive and the good shots. And instead of like lamenting over the bad ones. So that was a good thing. Couple people talking about, their goal being just handicap driven, getting their handicap down. Let's see here. We got, Kyle Gray said he's going to try to get his handicap to 5 this year. If you get to 5, man, that's a major accomplishment.
Yeah.
Other people looking to get into the teens. Again, I think you got to pat yourself on your back when you get to that point. Very few golfers ever make it into the single digits. So I think those are all important ones. It looks like you've got one there lined up you're laughing at. You got one on your radar?
No, I see Chris just says greens and regs, greens and regs, greens and regs. He keeps writing it over and over again.
Driving it home, yeah.
He's just driving it home. Or like some people put it in their notes, on their iPhone notes, like JT.
Yes.
Let's see.
Did you see, by the way, Eric put his like that on Twitter, and Justin
JT
Thomas
shouted him.
Yeah, gave him a shout out. That was really kind of cool.
That was kind of cool. Yeah, I like to see that.
One guy, Jeremy Hall, said to play at least once. He said 0 rounds in 2018.
Wow.
And look, everybody has a bad year like that, man. He said between all my kids and other family things, I had 0 time and the weather was crazy. And he's right. The weather was crazy, especially here. We had the last 3 months of the season were almost a complete rain out.
Here's where we got Ricardo. He's trying to read his shoulder so he can get back to the game. Frank, you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Trying to rehab an injury to try to get back and swing. What else we got here? Swing changes, join a golf league. That's a big goal for a lot of people.
I love that goal.
If you can fit it in, God bless you.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that goal, especially if you can find a good league. You end up with a lot of camaraderie. It's fun. I like that little bit of competition aspect. I like the pressure it creates. If you can play well in a competition, you can play well. I saw a lot of people that was on their list. They're saying to compete, playing some sort of,
playing their first tournament. Yeah, that's a great goal. And it's a great thing to do.
How about this? Ed DeTuza, one of his he says, I want to play in a round with at least 2 Golficity Army members I've never met. And that's really cool. That's actually one fun thing that the group has become, is a lot of guys linking up and getting together and getting out there and play. Cause, that's one of my favorite things. He said, meet Frank and Mike if we come to Chicago. If we come out to Chicago, you're on our list. We're going to pop by.
Oh, by the way, I just want to tell a quick story. You and I were hanging out the other night. We were celebrating New Year's, and we were telling our wives our travel schedule for 2019. And we start rambling off these places. We're like, we'll be in Orlando, and then we're going to Scotland, and then we slowly start dropping these. We were saying, yeah, and then we have Arizona and California out, and we were just, and then you had to see their faces on.
They want to kill us.
They want to absolutely kill us. So with that said, Eddie, if we can get out there, I would love to do that, because that would be a really cool thing. There's a lot of Facebook group members in Chicago, and there's a lot of Facebook group members out in Ohio, actually, I've noticed. And that's something you and I would love to film Muirfield Village, get out there and play that course. I mean, that's a bucket lister for me as well.
Yeah. How about this one? I like this, and I'll tell you why in a second. In the Facebook group, Jeff Dykemper, he says he's got some really, really lofty, well, it's lofty for us goals, but when you see that he's a 3.5 handicap, you realize for him, they're probably not a stretch.
Yeah.
But he wants to play a bogey or worse free round. He wants to get that swing speed above 115. Right now he's at 107, 109. He wants to shoot 68 or better. He had a 69 in 2018. Hats off, Jeff. That is awesome.
Seriously.
But this is one of my favorite on that list. He says, get my buddy to break 100 for the first time. And I think that's so cool when you get somebody who's as skilled a golfer as that, who's bringing, their friends into the game and helping them on their journey. That's awesome. That's so cool. So that was one of my favorite
Frank,
ones.
how'd you pronounce his name again? I love doing this game with you. Go ahead.
No, because I can't pronounce anything. It's very funny.
What'd you do?
Dykemper?
Yeah, that's probably right.
I think that's right.
I think you're
Jeff,
100%
let me know if
right.
I'm right there, because I'm working. One of Frank's goals is to pronounce people's names correctly in 20.
Yeah, you're getting it, man. Yeah. Here we go. Joe Fazio. I'd be happy with consistency. How about not driving 300 yards on one hole and 200 on the next? I mean, yeah, absolutely. Consistency is something we all crave, right?
It really is. And that's why I'm going through these growing pains of swing, making these swing changes, because one thing that we identified, a big problem with my consistency, was relying too much on timing. That K-Vest really showed me that too. The fact that I start different parts of my swing out of sequence. So that's why the timing feels weird now, because I'm changing my sequence, but I'm hoping the eventual result will be more consistency, because I'm less relying on timing. And that's also why if you're the type of person who plays well when you're playing a lot, and then when you take a little bit of a break and you don't play for a couple of weeks, you play really poorly, it could be a timing thing, because as you know, timing takes repetitiveness. So if you can get away from relying on that. Speaking of mental game, we mentioned that earlier. Chris Baylog said, mental game, I want to stay positive. He said, I just started reading Zen Golf. Very inspiring. No doubt. One of my goals is to get Dr. Parent back on the podcast this season, this year, which I definitely think we can make that happen. One of my favorite interviews. And if you haven't read or listened to the audio version of Zen Golf, check it out. It is such a good book. It has been a real inspirational driver for me, for my mental game for years and years now.
I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward. Another goal for me personally with Golficity, and I mentioned this to you earlier, was to get more guests, on the show. I mean, I love a good guest. I love talking with people. Hopefully we can make that happen.
Yeah. Another great goal here, Brian, buddy Brian Severn, he says, I want to give back to the game that has given so much so quickly. So that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's absolutely. Cool. George Connolly wants to get a hole in one, plain and simple. He says pretty simple. George, I hope you get it, man. If you get it, post a photo here, definitely, for sure.
Genesis Cortez says, I want to, my goal is to play more tournament golf. I love that. If that's something you guys, haven't done yet, even if it's just a local small tournament, whatever, just put it on your own golf little checklist at some point. Try to play in a real tournament. I think it really is very different than, in good ways. I think it's different. You see a different side of the game than an informal round on the weekend with your buddies. It's cool to really have that pressure of making sure you understand and know the rules and use them to your benefit. And also just, playing in that competitive spirit with other people. I think it's a great experience that every golfer should have, for sure.
Yeah, totally. Did you read Brian Gramellini?
There's such a long list here. I'm scrolling through it. What do you say?
So 29. I think I got that one right. Do something golf related every day.
Okay.
Play 5 away rounds. Play 1 new course. Play a post-work twilight round 5 times, which is underrated, by the way. I think that's the best time to just go out by yourself, play 9 holes. He says play 9 holes before work 5 times. I like that he puts a number on it. That's cool. Mm-hmm. And then win the club championship.
Club championship. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just throw that at the end. Absolutely.
Well,
Brian,
we're pulling
luck,
for
man.
you, Brian.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure.
pulling for you. Absolutely.
We'll just mention a couple more and we'll wrap it up. David Hebler says, he started playing, again, back in September after 10 years off. He's back over 100. So his number one goal is to break 100 and be more consistent with his irons again. David, wish you the best on that journey. I can so relate. I got away from the game for 10 plus years. It is it's tough. It's tough to get back into it, but it's fun. It's fun to keep chasing and getting back to where we were and taking a new path and a new progression to where you had gotten before. Sometimes it feels like you're just trying to plow back down the same road that got you there before. But I think in a lot of ways it's carving a new path. I definitely approach the game so much differently than I approached it when I played high school golf and things like that. And I think it's fun to look at the game with new eyes from a different time in your life, from a different age. I think that can be really great. So, and anybody who's been away from the game, to get back into it, it can be a lot of fun.
Sure.
So great stuff. Thank you everybody who jumped in there and gave us your own goals. I love everything from the really quantifiable ones to the ones that just having a little bit more fun with the game, playing new places, whether it was in the Facebook group or on Twitter, wherever it is. Thank you for putting those in there. And by the way, we did have a couple people asking where to find the Facebook group. So if you guys are having any trouble finding it, like I said, you can go on Facebook, just search Golficity or the Golf Podcast under the group section, and you'll see it. We have it's just called the Golf Podcast group, as well as always in the show notes. We have a link right there to join our Facebook group. The Facebook group is 100% free, and it's a really great community. It's one of, I think, my proudest thing that's kind of come out of this podcast is the community that's been created there, because we've got so many really great supportive individuals in there sharing stories and just having a little bit of fun with each other. So that's really been great. You can get to
Frank.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but speaking of that, I just want to give a shout out to Trey. Trey emailed me a little while ago and said, "Hey, I love the show. You guys are always talking about this Facebook group. How do I get in it?" And I quickly shot back the link, and within seconds, he just requested to be a member of the group.
Perfect.
So Trey, welcome to the group. You're going to love it. Sorry, Frank. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, you can go to the show notes. It's golficity.com/episode 252. In every show notes, we have a link there that you can join it, as well as we usually include a link if you're watching it on YouTube down in the description below. We usually have it there. And also you can get to those show notes as always in the Golficity app, which is free. Mike, check out what I did with my phone.
Oh, there you go.
Got the sticker on there.
I like that.
Which we just got these stickers. They're not for sale yet. A couple people were asking us about them. I just want to find a way to give them away. I'm not looking to make a buck off these stickers.
I know.
You know what I mean? But, if we can find a way to do that, we will. We're just kind of like testing with a couple different things with a logo to have some fun in 2019. But, and let's bring a bunch of those stickers with us to the,
to Orlando. I plan on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that way if we see any of you guys, we can hand them out. But all right, so that's everything we have. It's been fun. It's been fun talking about goals. It's been fun reading all of your goals. And we're gonna have to see, maybe we'll do even a mid-season checkup, and we'll talk about it, towards later in the season. We'll see how we progress against these benchmarks that we've set.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I hope to be able to meet at least some of them. I just feel like if I can hit those 50% fairways, 40% green in regulation, my scores will really, really reflect it.
And I think we will be so focused on this shot scope dashboard throughout the season with the leaderboards and the prizes we're going to do and all the golf we'll be playing. And so we're going to be all over our stats. And I think we're going to be on top of these goals. I think we're going to hit them. I just really do. I'm excited for it.
I'm keeping mine right here in the forefront on my in my notes app on my iPad. I mean, my iPhone, so I can just look at it whenever and just remind myself of where I'm at.
There you go.
And look, I think it'll be easier too out on the course to stop always thinking about score and just think like, what can I do in this round to meet my 50% fairways or my 40% green regulation, instead of saying, what do I do today to break 80? And I think that the score will follow it. Anyway, before we wrap it up, I want to once again thank this week's sponsor, Blinkist. In today's age, it can be so hard to sit down and learn more. You may think you don't have time to read an entire book. Well, think again. Blinkist is the only app that condenses thousands of nonfiction books into the best key takeaways. So you can read or you can listen to them in just about 15 minutes. And come on, everybody's got 15 minutes. So right now, for a limited time, Blinkist has a special offer just for our audience. You can go to Blinkist.com/golf to start your free 7-day trial, guys. Take advantage of that. Check it out. It's Blinkist, spelled Blinkist, Blinkist.com/golf. Start that free trial today. Blinkist.com/golf.
I would listen to a 15-minute book while doing my putt out. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right?
There's some multitasking.
Exactly. Why not?
Shaving strokes.
Saving
improving
strokes.
your mind. He's got it all going.
All at the same
time. Look out
time.
for Mike. He's going to be peak Mike in 2019. 2019 is going to be the year of peak Mike.
Can't wait.
Too funny. All right. Anyway, Happy New Year to everybody out there.
Yes.
Thank you as always for tuning in, and we're going to see everybody again next week.